All right, guys. So I'm gonna freestyle this one out. I'm gonna react to one of my old video. It was maybe a year before the pandemic. So I was talking about neurons, the way the cells communicate with each other, and I'm gonna give you guys some background stories and how I managed to understand, let's say, how the nervous system operates and many other things. Okay. So I don't want to waste no time. Let's jump into it. It's going to be pretty interesting. Just watch my reaction, guys. It's going to be pretty real. Oh, man.
I talked about the eyes. Now I'm going to talk about how we create our visual world or our world, our reality. Okay? Now, we have about 100 billion neurons in our brain, okay? 100 billion cells and 100 trillion synapses. You're probably thinking, what the hell?
All right, guys, I want you guys to keep something in mind. I was very, very nervous at that time. And I wasn't on YouTube, but I was on Instagram because I was trying to expose myself to the outside world because the knowledge, it wasn't to just go on YouTube or go on Instagram and start talking about it, because I felt like people needed to know. I was in complete shock, man. So I felt like people needed to know this information. So I'm like, okay, let me just hop on Instagram and start sharing it. And I happened to have a lot of people interested in the knowledge. I was freaking nervous, bro. In my head, I was like, what are you talking about? You don't know anything. I was criticizing myself to the max. And if you listen carefully, you can hear it in my voice.
Or day. Don't worry. Okay. So the way neurons communicate with one another, they create a connection, a neural network, okay? For example, let's say that I'm a piano player, okay?
So they made the connection together. It's like the way we have the mind, we're able to see things, we know things, we can recall things. It's basically neural connection that we have in our mind. So let's say you know the color blue, and the color blue, if you see someone wearing a shirt and the shirt happened to be blue, then you could say, okay, it's a blue shirt, because you know shirt and you know blue and you're able to combine them together. That's how it's basically you pulling strings of cells to make sense out of whatever you're seeing. That's what neuron actually is. So, okay, let me not say too much.
I'm a great piano player. I played like in a band. I usually do concerts, so therefore I'm great, right? So now I come to mind, I realize that, okay, I don't want to play piano anymore. I want to play guitar. Okay, so now I already have a neural network of piano playing. Therefore, I know all my music. I know all the keys. I'm really fluent with playing piano. So now to change, to go play guitar, I would have to learn, I would have to practice, I would have to learn the basics to learn how to play guitar. So I switch, I move on to practicing guitar, and I'm getting a little bit better. So therefore, I'm creating new connections in my brain, new neural network in my brain.
It's the reason when you expose yourself to something for the first time, you look very confused because you don't have that neural network. You don't have that connection in your head to make sense out of it. So you look very confused and you're trying to figure it out. You're trying to do different things to see what worked and what doesn't work. And it's the reason I always say, yo, don't worry about making mistakes. Mistakes, trust me, a part of life. You shouldn't beat yourself up, because your brain, the cells trying to make sense the things that you expose yourself to for the first time. So if you're doing something for the first time and you can't figure it out and you find it difficult, don't worry. Give yourself time. The connection in your brain will eventually form. The cells flexible like that, to be quite honest with you. So let's move on.
For the guitar, while the connection for piano is basically fading away. Okay, now I'm not getting better playing piano, I'm getting weaker. So by playing guitar, I'm creating new connections, new synapses. So the connection for guitar getting stronger by practicing and practicing until I become very fluent at playing the guitar, and now I'm getting rusty at playing the piano, or probably I can't play piano anymore. but I know how to play guitar now. Okay, all that is because I formed new connections, new pattern, while the other pattern is basically fades away. How did that happen? What the hell? So that's how we create memory. Okay, we create memory by learning new things. So if I'm learning something new today, or learning how to do math, if I wasn't good at math before, I'm basically creating new connections, stronger connection by practicing, by learning math. Whatever I'm telling you right now, I'm using speech. Therefore, I have a connection I have a connection that makes sense, like for me to communicate that. It's a neural network that allows me to like explain everything that I'm explaining to you. Now you able.
So basically, the reason I'm able to retrieve the information is because I had to practice, I had to learn it. I had to expose myself to the knowledge. Let me tell you, when I first started like reading about neurology, let me say this first, okay? The process was I had to jump to disciplining myself first. I had to learn to discipline myself, and it was extremely, extremely difficult. So once I started disciplining myself, I was running, I was eating well. I wanted to change my life, man, because to be quite honest with you, my life was going sideways, and I wanted to change for the better. I wanted to know myself because I was making so much mistakes and I was doing so many crazy things that I didn't approve of, to be quite honest with you. All I know, some sort of force was pulling me to go do things that I would later on regret. So that's the reason I said, you know what, man, I have to discipline myself, and I have to at least stop myself. So I focus on disciplining myself for, let's say, maybe a year or a couple of months or something. And I was getting good, hitting the gym, running outside. Man, in the middle of the snow, I used to run. That's how disciplined I was, man. Snowstorm, I would be running. Yo, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, I would be up. I remember one time, man, it was dark outside, 5 a.m. And I went for a run, and it was a huge snowstorm. It was so dark and looked super dangerous, but I didn't care. I wanted to run, and man, I was feeling good and less stress. Then when I realized that, yo, hold up, I'm able to discipline myself. I'm able to control myself now. I'm changing. What the hell is going on in my head? So that's when I figure out, okay, so if I can change, if I can literally discipline myself, therefore I can learn other things. And that's when I jump into like neurology. I started reading about neurology, and I was going deep into the nervous system, man. It was my breakfast, my dinner. Bro, trust me, I was going in. But at first, I didn't understand it. I was so confused, especially when it comes to the basic of the nervous system, the cells. I was like, yo, what are they talking about? And so many big words I couldn't even understand. But I was doing research. I was reading every word. I was going deep down, trying to find out the meanings. And I didn't realize it was making sense in my head until one day it hit me. Boom. I was like, damn, I know shit. Unbelievable. Yo, I was shocked. And a lot of people, unfortunately, they don't not have that knowledge. They don't even know that they're alive. They're not conscious of themselves, you can say. They just rolling on like being an automaton, a robot. Most of us, that's how we operate. Most people feel like they're conscious of themselves, and you can't tell them otherwise, because that's how the brain operates. But if you manage to step outside of your comfort zone to figure out who you are or to gain knowledge, because it's not fun, to be quite honest with you. It's the reason I highly recommend that you discipline yourself first before you even jump into stuff like that, because it's boring. It's not fun. But when you start getting deep into it and you start to understand yourself a little bit, man, you will be amazed, and it will grab your attention. So the minute I start knowing a bit about the nervous system, neurology and stuff, boom, I jump into psychology, and it was I was like, damn, a lot of information out there about ourselves, and therefore marketers, let's say politicians, they know us more than we know ourselves. I was really shocked, man. Because although we feel like, okay, people do not know us like we are private or something. But there are a lot of people out there who actually know us better than we know ourselves. Then after I jumped to psychology, I started to understand psychology a little bit and the terms, the terminologies and stuff. So I jump into behavior, B.F. Skinner. I was amazed the way they literally structure our behavior. So that's when I was on Instagram and explaining. People used to tell me, yo, start a podcast, go on YouTube. To be quite honest with you, I didn't know how YouTube really operates, and I didn't even really care about YouTube. The information was just on the top of my mind, and I just wanted to let it out and stuff, and I was just on Instagram dropping. But man, I should have started a podcast for real. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Let's move on with the reaction.
To understand, because you have similar pattern in your brain, like the sentences, grammar, all that good stuff. So that's how we able to communicate. That's how you able to understand me. But if I happen to speak another language, you won't understand a word because you don't have that connection in your brain. But I'm pretty sure there are people on my friend list or followers or whatever that able to understand the language and probably can respond to it. You who don't have the connection in your brain can't come up with an answer because it's not there. You don't have.
So what I was explaining is like when you see someone speaking a language that you can't understand, the reason you can't understand the language is because you don't have the connection in your brain. You don't have the cells, the wiring, the pattern in your brain for you to understand the language, the speech, the wave, the person communicating. So that's what I was trying to explain. But the fact that our brain, the cells, they're flexible. As long as you expose yourself to whatever it is, it will eventually learn it. It will eventually try to understand it. Man, we are powerful, man, for real. So whatever you really want to learn, for example, I wanted to learn neurology. What did I do? I disciplined myself, right? Because I knew that I couldn't stay in one spot to just learn that because it was boring. So the fact that I was disciplined, so I was able to sit and just read about it, learn about it, and without letting boredom pull me sideways is the reason you have to eliminate distraction if you want to learn something. I wasn't watching TV. I wasn't listening to music. I wasn't on YouTube. Yo, I did not know what was going on in the world. Literally, I'm not even joking. I did not know what was going on in the world. It was just me learning. I was listening to audiobooks. I had a freaking subscription of on Audible, just listening to audiobooks. So therefore, I would be reading and I would be listening to the same thing that I'm reading when I'm not reading it. So I literally was going hard, man, for real. I was going crazy because I wanted to know. I was curious. I was like, yo, why can I control myself? I was pissed. For real, I was really mad at myself. I'm like, yo, I need to change myself. Because what was I doing, man? I was doing crazy shit. And something in the back of my mind was telling me that, yo, you're not going to get very far with that type of behavior. You have potential. You are better than that. But it was difficult to control myself. So I had to do something. Yeah. So yeah. If you want to learn something, you have to eliminate distraction and focus, laser focus, concentrate yourself to it, then you will become better, guaranteed.
Answer because it's not there. You don't have the neuron that make able you to speak the language. So yeah, that's how we learn. That's how we communicate. So every thought you ever had has been a process of the neural connection. So you hearing this information right now. I'm talking about neurons. I'm talking about this. I'm talking about that. I'm giving you you basically, by listening to me, actually, you basically form a new connection. Of course, you won't get it right away, but it doesn't mean that you will never get the information. You'll have to expose yourself more and more to it until you can form a very strong connection. They'll be like, oh, damn, I get it now. That's how we learn things. So you can think whatever you want negative. You can think whatever negative you want about yourself, but stupid isn't one of them. So don't think that you're stupid or you're not capable of learning new stuff. No, you put in the time, you'll learn whatever you want. You just gotta put in the time so you can form the connection. Patience is required in this one. Okay, so let's move on and talk about the cells. What the hell are they? How do we form these connections? What's going on in the brain? So what you're looking at a single memory, a neuron.
All right, that's it. I gotta find another piece of the video because it stopped at like 5 minutes, but I have a lot more, and I would react to them. A lot of good information. I'm telling you, they're valuable information, man. And I'm so happy that I can always go back and watch my old videos to, reinforce the knowledge in my head, because they're very good, and I want to share them with you guys because I think they're things that you should know, and the more you know about them, the more you'll understand yourself. It's all about that, guys. And what do we do here, guys? We learn, we push, and we grow to become the best version of ourselves. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button for more great content. If you have anything to say, let it out in the comment section. See you next time. Ciao.